Oh, hello. Do you think that Big Brother's watching? Or that the Illuminati is planning to take over the world? Have you happened to have an encounter with a space alien today? Well, if the answer to those questions is yes, then grab your hat. This is tinfoil hat time. Welcome back to Tinfoil Hat Time. I am joined by co-host.
Hey, it's co-host.
I hope that you enjoy our classroom of conspiracy. We're actually a little freaked out by this background. So just an FYI, we built this, and what did we take us, like an hour today to build this background? Wow. It was kind of creeped us out a little bit. I don't know why like 15 calculators opened up when I grabbed my keyboard. But anyway, we're going to be having a look at some questions about education. I asked co-host to come in here today and help with this one. And the reason is that the reason with this one is that we're going to be talking about some education stuff and some education articles that I found. My camera's still a little off a little bit. Whoa. And so we're going to go ahead and talk about some educational stuff, and I want to ask co-host because he has like upfront and personal experience in this type of stuff right now. So, you know, I know you guys kind of do as well. And so we're going to start out with looking at some comments here real quick. And so what we're going to do is scroll, and there's a whole lot of folks on here. I know some of you guys are also in this school type experience, so let's know your thoughts and views and opinions as well. Maybe the space aliens in the background will accommodate us, as it were. All right, so Carbon Programmer, greetings. They already go longer for days in Japan, where students have 6-day school weeks and they go to school at night as well. Yeah, the funniest thing in my research, though, is that in what I found in like Norway, they have half the amount of education here in the United States, and they still do better on tests and stuff. So it's obviously not just how much time. And that's the fundamental problem we've been seeing is everyone's talking about we need more time in school, we need more time in school. And I think we need, what, better school, right?
Yeah. If I would throw out a thought, it would be like, I don't like how they're teaching us basic information and they're expecting us to get above basic on these standardized testing. It really is just about memorizing assignments and equations and such these days anymore.
Yeah, and so, like when I was in you know K through 12 school, we had the tests like every other year. I think. What do you have them now? Every year, or multiple times a year? What do you have them now?
Well, we have like 2 tests. We have the SAT.
Okay.
That's like kind of like the big test.
Well, that's the college one, though.
That's the college one.
Yeah.
We have in middle school we have the PSSA, and we have the Keystones and.
Yeah, in Wyoming they were I think they were called PAWS. We called it punishing all Wyoming students. Is what the kids would graciously call PAWS, but it's not the amount. But we're gonna have a look at that. So school needs to, let's see, Isaiah Briggs, school needs to start later in the day to give students time and their brains functioning. And co-host, you don't think that's going to work. Why not?
Well, I just think as a general trend, if school starts later, then people will go to sleep later.
Absolutely.
Like
school starts at 9, all right? 4 p.m. or 4 a.m. sounds like a good time to get to bed. I mean, hey, school starts an hour later, I can get to bed an hour later, right? That's your thought, right?
And if I need an example, then I think Sundays is a great example. You don't have anything to do that day, so you naturally go to bed later and get up later.
Yeah, that tends to happen. Now, and your school is trying this next year, right?
Yeah.
So, and you're not lengthening the school day; you're just shifting the school day.
Yeah, and it's a very minuscule amount of time from like 8:10 to 8:45. It's not that big of a difference, but I still feel like people will like stay up like an hour later than they don't do.
Now, how's that going to impact the students like yourself that have after-school jobs?
Well,
because now you get out of school later, and so now you're going to lose actual work on real work. Yeah, no?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't, a lot of people at my school have jobs, but we don't really talk about it in our, like, all school meetings.
Yeah.
We're more wrapped up in our...
But come on, you those petty little jobs are nothing. You have to focus your time on your academics so you can go to college and get a good job.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Isaiah further says they need to be shorter with more focused subjects in that year. Washington Cross of Delaware, but I never learned to take out a loan nor do taxes or etiquette. Isaiah Briggs, it sounds like you're quoting from a song. Is that "Don't Go to School"? Is that the song you're quoting from, Isaiah? And so, your thoughts on this, co-host? Shorter, more focused days or longer days? What's better for you, do you think?
I think shorter, more focused days. Because as a general trend, students tend to get drowsier later on in the day. And I feel like a lot of teachers lose their focus somewhere along the way.
Mm-hmm.
We had a class last year. It was called Consumer Economics. And this was a great class, and it was filled with all this relevant information about banking and how to write checks and everything. And I feel like that should be a more widely used class.
Yeah, and that was just an elective.
Yeah, that was just an elective.
Yeah, so that type of thing should be required, you think, right?
Right.
Okay. Worst of all, there's no creative thinking, just memorizing answers and tests and forgetting them to learn for the next test. Comments, co-host.
Agreed.
Agreed. Okay. Nice tinfoil graduation cap. Absolutely, the alien got his degree. He graduated. Haddock Dev, greetings. Can agree more. Pretty much the only thing I learned that you won't use in life. We had music, but I don't want to make music. Math, but I already know what I need to know, etc. Yeah, and that's the thing, is schools focus still too much on subsurface things that aren't necessarily as helpful as a lot of other things, right? So if you could plan your perfect day, do you think school's a waste?
I don't think it's a waste. I think there is uses for it, especially if you want to go for a higher education. I think there is purposes for it. I think college has a purpose in this world. I just don't think I fit into college.
Yeah, and that's yet to be seen. Who knows? But yeah, and that's the thing, is we need to stop pushing everybody. You go to college. Some people, speaking as a very educated person and a former college professor, not everyone's cut out for college. And not everybody should go to college. Just because you're cut out for college doesn't mean you should go. You should go to college if it's in alignment with the goals that you want to accomplish for your life, right? And if you know what your goals are and you're looking over your goals and going, well, I kind of want to do more artsy type things that I don't have to go to college for, it's probably going to hurt you more going to college, because I went to college and I spent 10 years in higher education, and I know that I had a lot of interests and passions before I started school, and they were dead when I left. I mean, dead. D-O-A. Done. And that's the problem, is if I had to want to follow one of those in passions, then those passions would have been, asphyxiated and died and atrophied. And then I'm left with a degree, and I worked in my degree field for less time than I spent in school getting it. Now, I could probably go back into that industry without a huge problem, but the reality is, I don't want to drag myself into an office at 9 in the morning and do boring work for someone else all day when I make not exactly as much as I could be making, but I love my schedule infinitely more. I get up when I want to get up, and I get the things done I need to get done on the time frame I need to get done at, and the only bosses I have are myself and my clients, which are actually pretty harsh taskmasters, but nevertheless, it's a trade-off that I like. Linux user, greetings. Someone just recently set up Void Linux, Raspberry Pi. Bit buggy, but usable. Cool. Most people would be fine with school, went to grade 6 and then learned how to manage a household and do taxes. Greetings, Kent and Keegan, the Tennessean. And greetings to co-host, Keegan says.
Hello, Keegan.
All right. So, Dad stopped at 6th grade to help his dad in the family business and learned to fix cars and build houses right after 6th. Yeah, that's cool, And there's things that can be said for that. And I was listening to a guy. Was that the guy we were listening to last week? Stephen Molly, whatever that guy is. Is that what he was? I don't know his name. Some radio host guy from Canada / New York area. I don't know. But anyway, he was talking about for some people to split everything out. You get one guy. No, it wasn't him. This was somebody else I was listening to. I don't think you were here.
Yeah.
So he said to force everyone directly into college is bad because, particularly in our current age, it's going to cost. What did you estimate? Did you estimate a total final cost of going to college, buying books, things like that, student fees? Not living on campus because you live very close to a college campus. But did you determine an actual final cost?
I didn't include the books, but my math teacher actually went to college, and he even said like
math teacher went to college.
Yeah,
that's shocking. All right, anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But he even but he said what you said. He's like, not everyone's cut out for college, and he said when he went to college, I forget exactly what college he went to, but like for the whole year, boarding and everything was like $8,000.
Mm-hmm.
And he would have been in college in the 80s, and now it's like $24,000 a year for everything.
Yeah, so multiplying, assuming that you go for 4 years, that's almost 100,000, right?
Yeah, which.
And that's insane. I did my undergrad 4 years of undergrad, 2 years living on campus. Now I got a free dorm room living on campus because they paid me to be the live-in science geek. I did have to buy a meal plan, so 4 years, tuition, books, everything I calculated, it cost me a little over $35,000 over 4 years. And I paid for that mostly in cash. I didn't want loans, and I was smart enough that when I was in my sophomore year, first semester of sophomore year, and I got that email that said, you have to come to the financial aid office and sign the dotted line to get your loans for next semester, I ignored it. I didn't push delete in that email. I didn't go back. And I said, you know what? If we're going to finish college, we're going to pay cash. And that's what I did. So I left college with only a few $1,000s in student loan debt. So then my grad school, of course, that was all paid for. I got a free ride to all of grad school and a living stipend. So, but regardless, it cost me $35,000 to go to college. And nowadays, and that was only, when did I think I finished my doctorate 10 years ago. And so with that, I mean, I think, let's see. So I started undergrad 20 years ago. Oh God, I'm getting old. I started 20 years ago. Am I old? Am I a geezer?
Nah, not yet.
All right, not yet. I'm not a geezer yet. All right. So I started college 20 years ago, and now 4 years, like college has went up 400%. That's about right?
Yeah.
College has gone up 400%, and not a lot of people. So anyway, I started this whole trend because there was this guy I was watching. He says, if that same guy finishes high school and knows he wants to do lawn care or car mechanics or things like that and goes in and just does it, he's going to leave, and 4 or 5 years later, when the college students still don't have any experience outside of, practicing hardening their livers with beer pong, they don't have a lot of experience in anything people would consider highly qualified. And then what happens is they're starting to get their life out, but then they have $35,000, $45,000, $55,000, some people up to $100,000 or $200,000 in student loan debt. You get this kind of stuff going on, and then what ends up happening is now you have very little experience, you have very little anything other than a whole lot of loans, and the other guy has 5 years of work experience on you.
And we were even talking about this a little bit. Like the college rates have gone up so much, but like the wages have stayed are so stagnant.
Do you feel like telling people the hourly rate you make or not?
I can.
It's up to you.
Yeah, I can. So I make about $8.75 an hour plus tips, which is pretty good. Like,
well, 16 years ago when I stopped working, that's how much I was making.
Yeah.
And that's the disparity. If you actually learned anything from mathematics and you know what calculus is, and you look at a differential, understanding, calculus is all about rates. Okay, if you fundamentally understand calculus is about rates, you'll do fine. a difference, a differential, is all about the rates of change. Okay, we looked at the rates of change of college, and the rate of change of college is like 1,000 times higher than the rate of change of everything else, because they have a captive audience of people with no life experience that they're going to give student loans without limit that can't be bankruptable, and it's no surprise they're taking all this and going, ah! And I don't know why we got off on the college thing, because we kind of want to get back into the rest of us back into this. Well, let's move on to the next line of comments. We do have actual articles what led me to this discussion. All right.
If we get to them.
If we get to them, that's true. Definitely not have to worry about working those skills. Hello, life outside the windows. Mark Nay, greetings. That's my point. They fit in the household management and throw out the useless math curriculum and replace it with taxes and stuff we actually want to learn. Yeah. If they did, like, did you do any courses that teaches you about how to pay taxes, how to get a job, how to buy a house, any of that kind of stuff?
Not really.
Not really. Consumer economics was the closest you had.
Yeah.
And that was cool because you had to prepare a whole budget for life. You actually had to spend time researching what you'd want to do, how much you make, where you live. And that was, I think that was the most helpful class you've ever done, right?
Yeah.
All right, so pizza, greetings, sir. Almost done with the first beta. Sweet. Only math my dad needed was to calculate payment for a job. Yeah. Greetings, Mitchell. Phoenix weather's great. What's it over here? Hey, it's 37 here. That's not too shabby. Farron OS, hello there. KO2610, your number has come. Ha ha ha. How's it going there? Just finished eating my Chinese curry. Yeah, we're cooking up some baked chicken and rice and bacon right now. It's tasty. Okay, simple math. We only need to learn simple math to do simple things and some complex things too. Big Brother is literally watching you right now. Yes, he is. Where is Big Brother? He's up there. Big Brother's over there. That alien in the door is creepy, and that little one, he's just cute. Can you see what's on the chalkboard back there? It's a pretty nice chalkboard. Oh boy, oh boy. Longer days for school. School will be renamed from 7 cruel hours of our life to it's a shul, 8 cruel hours of our life. Oh boy, I lost my place. YouTube really needs to fix this comment thing. Did I get a haircut? No?
No, you didn't.
I mean, I'm wearing a hat.
You're like...
Yeah, I'm down here. Xiphoid process. Greetings, Pseudolinux. Hello, sir. School is not cruel for me. It's actually fun. Yeah.
That's a blessing, man.
That is. And school, you're liking school here too, co-host, right?
Yeah. I think school is fine. It's not... It's pretty, I don't know. Like, I don't hate it, but I don't...
Yeah.
I don't really love it either.
It kind of interferes with some of the goals you're trying to set for your future right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we'll figure that out.
It's just busy work at this point.
Yeah, it'd be cool if a guy like co-host who kind of has an idea what he wants to do and try in life, if he could go into the guidance office and say, I'd like to try this. Can we rearrange part of my school day around what I need to do this and get a kickstart? It'd be really cool if you had the option to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they do for VOTEC students. I mean, a VOTEC student, it's like, I want to be an auto mechanic. Great, we're going to take you to school for half of the day every day and send you to VOTEC, and we're going to help you pay for that and learn how to fix cars. Why can't we do the same thing with personal interests that have viability, right? I mean, that's...
I think...
And I don't know, I think you still should have a conversation with the guidance counselor about that for next year. I'm sure if you talk to him, you might be able to cram you in. You did go to one of those schools that's a little outside the box, so I encourage you to do that. Okay, switch to Manjaro i3. Manjaro fixed all my issues. Cool. I study the topics I want to study. Carbon programming. Yeah, that's much like me. I was such a nerd. I was in school studying other subjects and still answering questions for the subject for the class. But I'm a nerd. Why does the audio sound a little doinky? Probably because we have the mic kind of centralized so we can both kind of talk into it. So yeah, it's probably a little bit. Background is creepy yet cool. Awesome. Yeah, that's what we were going for. That's what we were going for. Yeah, I got the green screen set up, and I just wanted to do this tinfoil hat time from a very creepy classroom.
And we didn't really even have to do much. The alien just kind of fit right in.
Yeah, that alien is
in the doorway.
Yeah. Creepy.
Yeah.
It's legitimately creepy. Hello, Servadil. Pseudo Linux says school sucks. You're young enough, though. I think that's an accepted thing at your age. Staff at school is good. Yeah, I agree. Gerhard videos. Hello. Always looking forward to your tinfoil hat times. Awesome. Tip of the hat to you, sir. Alright. Pizza's a mod. Yeah, I just haven't taken his mod off, and so, yeah, that's good. High school sucked for me because I was bullied the whole time I was there. I was bullied up until around, like freshman year it usually stops. Anybody who wants to bully you after your freshman year, he's just a moron that needs a life. I mean, is that right?
I mean, that would...
do you have school bullies in high school up there?
I mean, I go to liberal school.
Yeah.
Like, it's like
you got
it's far left.
You got a fruitcake land, man.
Yeah, I go to Fruitland, and it's a I don't get bullied up in it. I don't think nearly anyone does.
Yeah, I mean, I think any of the people who were the bullies, the guys that had the bully attitudes, let me tell you that the guys, and I can remember all of them. I go through the yearbook and identify all the guys that bullied me. All the guys that bullied me, they were drugged and drunken out by mid high school, so they all kind of went away. The only people that were left that were the only like the jocks were the deeply obnoxious guys to us headbanger geeks, because I was a headbanger with long hair and everything. And so, the jocks were kind of annoying to us, but we were annoying to them, and we just all kind of did our own thing. But no, it's, once the sophomore year hits, all the bullies, they've either mellowed out from too many drugs or failed out from too many drugs. One of the two. Either way, problem was solved. So pizza, if that's your life right now, man, it will get better, dude. Just hang tight. It'll get better. And don't forget, man, you're doing the skills now that you're going to be their boss in the future. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah. Like, I think it's a famous quote that's like, you shouldn't bully anyone in high school because the nerds are going to be your bosses in the future.
Yeah. Some people attribute it to Bill Gates, from a Bill Gates speech. Okay, I'm currently trying to install, probably use Intel HD 4400 drivers from Min18. Can't work. Any suggestions? Graphics run, videos, tear, clearly VGA.
Is that the problem we had with my laptop?
No, this is a GUP. The only thing I'd start in looking in the drivers manager and see if there's a driver for your system. I know I had those issues on my Debian until I installed non-free drivers over there. Okay, Google Primer, let's see, not at mine. Nearly got suspended for slipping. Can't solve simple problems because of these Save the Children policies. Oh yeah, Save the Children policies. My brother had a bumper sticker on a car once. It said, "Never mind the whales, save the people." I like being bullied because bullies can't do anything about it. I just ignore them and act like they don't exist and they get mad. There you go. Yeah.
Well, even that's one way to get rid of them.
Yeah, Pizza 11 nerd gets shoved around and stuff. That's not cool, man. That's when you do geeky nerdy things like put a battery operated Raspberry Pi with microphone and camera in your pocket, record it, and then sue the kid for it. Literally sue him for assault for it. I mean, that'll get him to stop.
Or you could like go to a teacher. I don't know if that's.
I think he's tried going to teachers. And a lot of times what you hear in the school system is unfortunate. And I was bullied so much. I was bullied so many times. I heard every bit of advice from go to the teachers, to ignore it, to kick them in the balls, to whatever. Nothing works. Nothing works. But in this modern day and age, if you gather evidence as to what they're doing and the school doesn't do anything, you could not only sue them, but then sue the school for not doing anything. In this crazy left-wing liberal world, that will fly. Because what it's going to do is it's going to push that all over the place, and then everyone's going to backlash against the school, and the school's going to be too, like, it's going to play a YouTube and Logan Paul incident. All right, we forgive. That's what I would do, man. Gather evidence. Gather evidence. Bullied for putting my head down and getting on with my work, and the teacher gave me because I have a learning disability. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Red Falcon Run, greetings. Check out redfalconrun.com. Alright. Step away, just got home, take a break for a bit. Alright. World of Linux, hello. Oh, Isaiah Briggs is not quoting. Okay, well, Isaiah Briggs, check out the song from Boy in the Band called Don't Stay in School. You might like it. It's pretty interesting. Okay, I wish I would have been able to ignore them, but couldn't until commercial college. Now I'm severely mentally ill. I'm sorry. That's not good. A lot of teachers lose their focus. You mean their sanity? Yes.
That too,
Mandarin speakers are smarter than English speakers because their brains are more active due to the fact they have to tell apart their tones of vowels. Huh.
I think that'd be a pretty interesting field to study.
Yeah, that's what
Just
he
like
did.
how language affects smartness. I don't know.
Yeah. What is the audio? Is our audio really sound that bad? Yeah, I mean, it's
showing up here fine.
yeah, I mean, unless there's something goofy. I'm going to wiggle the mic a little bit and see if that does anything. I don't know. That seems fine. Yeah, it's part of it's just because I'm usually this close to the microphone, or at least this close to the microphone. But I have to be pretty far away to get both of us in the audio. So, well, we'll try. Let's see. I can bump myself down a little bit, put myself a little bit more on co-host level, and scoot forward a bit and see if that helps. Just the cameras. Oh yeah, get in the classroom a little bit more. All right, see if that helps. All right. All right, we're going to take a brief pause on the comments there. We're going to come back to the comments in a bit. So I encountered some articles. What led to this crazy discussion on education? So the first article was actually, this guy here from Ars Technica. And on this article here, basically what the study was, and this was an observational study, so this isn't particularly a good study. It's an observational study, and they came out and saying that staying in school longer leads to better health. Staying in school longer leads to better health. I mean, yeah. So, the thing is that this was a study looking at students that were now in their 60s and 70s. I mean, literally. Starting in 1972, the UK government created just such a natural experiment by changing the minimum age kids could leave school, raising it from 15 to 16 years. And then they basically followed these groups of kids from these. And I didn't see any ANOVA analysis to see, did everybody leave school? I mean, you can leave school. You can leave school now if you technically want to legally. Better not.
Well, I think back then, I think it was like kind of the climate back then. A lot of more people were Amish.
No, well, this is UK.
UK?
Is there an Amish population in UK?
I just know Amish people leave school at a certain time to go help out with the farm and such.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. It's like our chroma key doesn't work with the windows over there closed. I'm going to reset my chroma, I think. I'll play with that. We got a little bit of stuff. All right. And so basically, what got me into this is I looked at this and then I started looking into other studies, and it turns out people have been doing all sorts of these types of studies for quite a long time. And here's where the tinfoil hat comes into play. The tinfoil hat time comes into play because the question I want to ask is, are the progressives trying to push kids to go to school longer, both longer days and longer periods of time throughout the year? I think that that's really what's behind all this, because having a doctorate in science, I'll tell you that science is a whole lot less about the facts and a whole lot more about the politics and the funding. And so, with that being said, there's a whole lot of these articles, and some of them actually demonstrate that in some circumstances you will actually cause an increase in performance. The one demographic that does seem to be most impacted by this is the demographic of your minorities, your low-income areas. So minorities and low-income areas, those guys having longer and more school days tends to increase their performance over, do we want to use the W word?
What?
The white students, yes.
Oh,
the
yeah,
white
man.
students aren't nearly as affected. So it introduces all of these racial and cultural biases and all of this stuff, and that's what the unfortunate thing is. Almost all of these studies they're not broad enough in their demographics. So all of the areas they tried extending these years, they all have something in common, and they're lower income schools. And that was a major fallacy in almost all of these articles.
Wait, well, were they doing this on today's demographic or on back in the day demographic?
Okay, some of these studies these are 10-year studies, and some of these were started back in like 2006. And then, so one of the articles here I have here, like, so this article here is May of 2014. And then I have some of these that are going back as far as 2005, and some of these as recent as, just a few months back. So
I think for the older ones, there's a major flaw in the fact that technology has grown so much and advanced so much.
mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
it's so much more distracting now than it was back in 2006.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, even when I was in college, which was it like 2001 or so, 2000, 2001, I'm in college, we used to actually sit against the walls in the hallways with our books open and studying. My last year as a college professor was 2010, and even then, that was even before the major smartphone revolution, and everyone was on smartphones, laptop computers, mostly goofing around on Facebook and stuff like that, not studying nearly as much. So yeah, the distractions are there. And their distractions are getting worse and worse and worse and worse.
And more easily accessible.
Yeah. And this brings us up to the entire concept of technology in the classroom. What's your take on tech in the classroom?
I think it's useful for some things, but I just don't see a good in exposing kids to more technology while they're in school, when they're going to go back home and use it even more. You see, technology is very subtle in its influence. Like, when you see technology, you want to use it. So when you see technology in the classroom, you want to use it. So that just fuels your addiction at home even more.
Okay.
Which is what I think. But it's, I don't know. I don't think it should be used as much as it is.
Yeah, and I agree. And the last employment that I had in my actual degreed fields is I was selling academic software. Now, I was a chemistry professor, and I'll tell you exactly what it takes to teach a student chemistry well. You sit down in a chair and you do your homework. Okay? You solve problems, because you need to learn the process to solve the problems. And it's not busy work. It's learning how to manipulate the numbers, how to run the dimensional analysis, how to do all this kind of stuff. But the problem is, as I was starting to teach, this was right when Pearson was releasing its Master in Chemistry product, which was the first chemistry homework system moved in. And so we adopted it as a test, and it was horrible. Because the students would come in and they'd have all of their information, and what they would see is all the system wanted is an answer, and so they would take their notes and they just scramble crap all over their papers until they got to an answer, and they input the answer into the system, and it was either a pass-fail. Yes, it's right. No, it's not. Now, there were some instances where the system didn't calculate significant figures right. Yeah. And so we had that problem. And then we had the problem of how to teach the students the system. The reality is the process is more important than the final answer. And that's what every system. So the software I was selling at the end of that tenure in that field was software that was better, because we anticipated the most common incorrect answers, and we planned for those, and when we saw those incorrect answers, we were able to directly guide the students back in the right path. But it still was deeply limited in that we were looking for specific answers.
Well,
right?
you even missed the point.
Okay, what I missed? Yep.
like, I mean, like the online surveys and questionnaires and stuff are just getting dumber and dumber for one.
Yeah, I agree.
And not only that, it's like with having technology in school. When you look at a computer screen and you're doing a quiz on the computer screen, you're so tempted to just go in another browser and do games instead.
Mhm.
So that forces you to rush through it so you can do that, because
Yeah.
those thoughts are pre-planned in your head.
And that actually brings up a really fascinating point, because Mastering Chemistry actually had the tracker. It would track how much time you were working on the problem. And guess what it didn't have an accounting for?
What?
Switching to another tab and playing a game in the other tab.
Yeah.
And so the stats would come back all skewed because someone's too busy playing on something else.
Can we just ban online classes entirely?
I don't know about online classes, but online homework is a requirement for sit-down classes. Absolutely, I would agree with that.
I just think online classes in general are awful, especially the physical education one.
Oh,
Now, here's what you have to do.
I do remember your online driving class. That was
Garbage.
Okay.
I wasted an entire notebook on that. That wasn't worth it.
I want that 99 cent back.
But I think the PE class is even worse, because you're supposed to exercise and you're supposed to mark the time down you exercise and what exercises you did.
Did you have one of these?
No, but I've heard it from friends. It's
Oh.
just complete garbage. And not only that, students could cheese the system and they could say they did something but not actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that just makes students more lazy, and if that worked, they might be willing to go to farther lengths to do
Mm-hmm.
stuff to get away from work, you know?
Now for the counterpoint to this, Red Falcarona, if you are still on, you did your whole degree online. What's your thoughts on online education? That's an interesting thought. I'll tell you that for your hard sciences, like I did some online education classes. I took education seriously, so I didn't have a problem. The problem comes in if you're trying to do chemistry. Now, people are trying to solve the problem, like, here's a send home chemistry kit, to run your labs home based. I mean, do we really want to send hydrochloric acid to people who eat Tide? I mean, just thought.
That's true.
But the reality is there are definitely experiments you can do. There's glassware kits you can send. My cousin makes his own, what do you call that stuff, for vaping stuff. And so he's got the plastic graduate cylinders and whatnot. You can do all that kind of stuff, but nothing gains the experience as going into a lab with real laboratory grade glassware with a professor who knows what they're doing and actually doing it. Now, it might be safer to do it at home, because I had that one student that would invariably blow up something every single class period. And if you ever want a lesson for why you always keep your goggles on when you're in the lab, it's not because you might be doing something stupid. It's because the idiot 6 benches over is possibly blowing up a thermometer that is going to shoot across the room like a rocket. And I have seen that. Fortunately, nobody's eye got in the way, but nevertheless. So you get that kind of stuff. And so with all of that kind of stuff, do we need longer days? Are longer days going to help? Let's focus first on longer days. So you go to school at 8 in the morning, you end it at 3 p.m. Would it help instead to go to school at 8 a.m. and leave at 5 p.m.?
No.
But come on, that's what the socialists want, because they want you to be good little boys and girls of the system. And you need to get used to doing that, because that's what your parents do, and that's what the system wants you to.
But as I mentioned earlier, there's a point where students just phase out. I know this from experience. There's a point where you just don't care what's being said. And if you have longer classes, if you have longer days, not only does that, you can train your tolerance to kind of reach that maximum limit, but it's gonna take a hot second. And in those periods where you're accustomed to the older times, you're really gonna suffer.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, you're going to be missing about half your classes if you just phase out.
Okay. So by phase out, you mean kind of like what this student has done right here?
Not really that. Just like you're physically awake, but you just don't care what's being said, and you just don't really even listen.
Yeah.
Because we're just trained to go through the motions.
And that's what the school system does to you now, doesn't it?
We're trained to look interested, not to be interested in classes. That's the main disconnect, and I think that's part of the reason our test grades are failing so much. We've gotten so good at looking interested. We've tricked our teachers.
Yeah, and we've tricked in many ways our teachers, ourselves, everything, to the point. And this is why, as I'm teaching classes, I don't care if you've had algebra. I care if you know algebra, because we're going to be doing dimensional analysis in my class, and I don't care if you've had algebra. I care if you know algebra. Difference, right?
Right.
Okay.
And you can learn so much more online than you can in any classroom.
Yeah.
That being said, there's a lot more distractions online as well. So it's kind of a trade-off there, but you get the point, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. So, life outside windows. It's because of high school has affected me quite badly, but in other ways I have a lot more attitude than I used to, and I can stick up for myself. Trust me, it will get better. Yes, it will get better. I will concur. Not paying for college, I'm buying land, building a house for a mortgage-free life, and building more houses to rent for income. Good for you, Isaiah. That's the way to go. Okay, as a former factory construction warehouse worker, I say go to office and don't complain, as some guys have no clue what life and job means. Trust me, boredom in an office is good. Getting shouted, sweating bricks and handling glass, fiber, and solution concrete blocks in 30 degrees is not good. Well, here's the thing, though. Your implication is that the handler has just showed up. The implication is that if you what your fallacy is, and how do I pronounce that name? Excalibur. I apologize if I get that wrong. The problem is that your assumption is that if I don't go to college and get an office job, I'm doomed to work menial labor, and that's not true. Okay, I can identify multiple people who didn't finish college or didn't go to college at all, and they did the better. What we're looking at, and these are the statistics that students are throwing out all the time. You see that students make on average more money over their lifetime than they do on than those that don't go to college. The people that go to college make more than those that don't. You have more opportunity, and the reality is. You're forgetting this major black swan. So in science, a black swan is an outlier. You're forgetting that those that don't go to college fall into two categories. One is severely motivated people who are going to hunt down, destroy, and capture their dream, and the other one is the moron in their parents' basement playing video games, and those two groups are lumped in. And guess what? Those guys drag down the dream chasers.
There's so many people who accomplish so much more who didn't go to college.
Whoa, yeah, well, the handler came up to say hi.
You know who Mark Zuckerberg is? He
dropped out.
He dropped out of college, but he didn't finish it.
Yeah. Well, Bill Gates left college to get an education, is what he said. I think Steve Jobs, I don't think Steve Jobs went. Benjamin Franklin didn't go to college. I mean, we don't have to be all new guys. And in fact, if you know who Peter Thiel is even doing a new program starting now, helping people achieve their dreams. They have one requirement. Have you heard about this program?
No.
One requirement: don't go to college. Drop out. He said if it doesn't work for you next year, you can go back. That's fine. But he said, I don't want you going to college. I'm going to fund your dream for a year or two. You can't go to college. Because he's starting to recognize that it's not always the best choice for everyone. That's the thing. It is a stepping stone to many things you might want to do. If you want to be a teacher, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a lawyer, if that's where your heart and your dream is, you've got to go to college. You need to. But if you want to do a content creator, realize this. Of every 100% of my income right now and for the last several years, I have 0 degrees, education, or classes in. Web design, business management, hosting design, server management, admin design, content creation, video production, audio production, graphic design, never a course in any of them. And the cat's being too cute over here, just off camera. All right. You could set up a tiny home if they're allowed where you are. You just have to think
I
too
think
much
this cat wants to be picked up.
He does want to be picked up. He'll be, you can keep petting the kitty right now because I have a keyboard on my lap. Okay, you're right, I can only confirm that fact. Main issue with the office job is the people. You get the wrong people around you and it's not good. And it's just a different way. And you know somebody that's experiencing that right now, don't you?
That's right. My mom is caught up in a very manipulative situation right now, where her supervisor is like basically trying to make her entire resume look bad, and just completely and practically almost forcing her to quit. And the main big guy can't do anything about it because, hey, if news gets around he's gonna bully a lady, then he's not going to be accepted on campus anymore, or at least his resume is going to be completely destroyed.
Welcome to the liberal agenda.
Yeah, really.
Unfortunately for the lady that's not behaving well under conduct, yeah, your mom has quite a good experience and credentials and friends that it's not really going to matter much in the end. But it's crazy, you know, that's the thing. Yeah, but you're right, Spider Eyes, is if you get into the wrong office job, then yes, Kitty, you can come up. I relent. If you get into the wrong office job, then yeah, you're gonna be dragged down. And then if you are stuck into that, you could be forced to stay in a job you hate.
Well, even like monotony, just like, I don't think I'd be over exaggerating when I say like monotony, like just like completely dulls all creative energy you have.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're doing the same thing every day, and your mind gets accustomed to that, and there's nothing new in your life, so you're just expecting the same thing over and over. And that's a problem when your life isn't full of excitement and adventure, because your creativity goes away. When that creativity goes away, you just become a husk of a human being. And that's what happens in a lot of cases in offices.
Yeah. So, Spider Eyes add ineffective managers to the mix, and it's even worse. I quit a perfectly well-paying office job that I had for over 12 years, having to do with the people. And you know, and I mean, you know, I just quit one of my larger projects because they were crazy. I didn't work for myself to deal with crazy all day. You know those guys, right?
Crazy people?
You know the crazy project I left, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, those guys, they were crazy. Greetings, Chateau. How are you? Office might crush creativity, but quote black end quote jobs, as we call them in our country, crush imagination, creativity, peace, and body. Again, it's you're caught up in dualism. You're caught up into believing that if you don't get an office job, you got to work menial labor, and that's just not the case. You know, we're in a time where more and more people work from home, more and more people freelance, more and more people have better and more comfortable living, and that's an awesome thing for our society.
And with the power of the internet, you can practically do anything you want and get paid.
Yeah. Then that's the thing, you know. I mean, a year ago, I did not have any YouTube income. Now I have enough to pay for groceries. And that's good. That's a stepping stone. And we're going to keep plugging along, you know, and just keep doing it. Couldn't work in an office because I suffer from social anxiety, get super moody if I'm in a crowded area. Hey Kevin, Hal, have you tried Sidruct? No, I've not tried that distro. See, you so tired. I'm gonna sleep. I'll watch the recorded stream tomorrow. All right, cool. Hey, Pseudo Linux, how's it going? You're back. Okay, I don't think. Check that out. I don't have a chance of living in a tiny home. Just the concept, the idea. I have too much stuff. Spider eyes. Convert to minimalism, and then you'll have plenty of room. Need a feather in my tinfoil. Ooh, I do need a feather in my tinfoil hat. Hello, Kathy. How are you? Or can you just, or you could just homeschool your kids. That's a good option. Of course, you do need a stay-at-home parent for that.
And in other news, your cat's purring up a storm.
Yeah, the cat is purring up a storm. I would be surprised if you guys cannot hear it.
I know.
Yeah, homeschooling is good for a lot of circumstances. I've seen bad circumstances in homeschooling as well. And I've seen bad reasons for homeschooling. If your only intention of homeschooling is to protect your children from evil and godless evolution, send your kids to public school.
Yeah.
But if your intent is really to give your kids a better, well-rounded education, then I think homeschool is the better option in many instances. Not every instance. It does depend on the person, but. I'm so old I got sent to the office for having a shirt too short in high school. Oh, you shameful person, Kathy.
Wow.
Was it my 11th grade? I think it was my 11th grade year I got sent to the principal on the first day of school.
Why?
I was wearing a t-shirt. I found the t-shirt. I was traveling through Canada. I found the t-shirt. I still remember it. It was like, it said, I've never met anybody that's made problems as you. You have my deepest sympathies. Now, it said F and literally F blank blank K off and stop bothering me is what it said. And the little middle letters had stars on it. So I got sent to the principal's office. Now, here's the difference between kids that day, or at least maybe intelligent kids that day, and kids now. Kid now in that circumstance, they'd be sitting here going, yeah, I have a right. You know that Oswald Chambers, one of the January lectures, he even says in there, when you start standing on your rights, check your motives. Okay. And the reality is, stop fussing with your rights. He looked at the shirt. He saw me as I was a very good, well-behaved student who actually got along with all of my teachers. I was friends with all my teachers. He just looks at it and says, would you mind not wearing the shirt again to school? I said, yeah, no problem. And it was the end of it. It didn't have to turn into a national case. We didn't have to send him there. I don't have to sue the school for violating my free speech rights. I mean, come on. But that's what would happen now. Can you imagine? Did you have any of those cases in your school?
No, I've never been sent to the principal's office.
No, like have you heard any of your fellow peers making a fuss over something on their shirt that they thought was a free speech incident?
No, but I feel like our school should reinforce the dress code a bit more.
Yeah, it's the students at your school are a little scanty dressed, unfortunately.
Well, it's like that everywhere. It's not just nice.
It is. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I've tried going to teachers. You're right. Nothing works. Also, can't record with consent. Can't record with consent. Okay. Well, I mean, that's what I'd do. I'd take out. I would. I don't know, man. The best I can say, Pizza, is I'd get a lawyer to petition the school for the cameras, and that might raise somebody's attention. I don't know. Waiting it out, unfortunately, is what you might have to do. I don't know, man. Apparently the audio sounds bad. I apologize. A lot of it's just the place where we have to have our mic. We tried doing 2 mics once, but we get crazy echoey sound in that case. Dealing with a huge winter storm ramping through here. Yeah, it's not too bad right here. It's actually above freezing, which is good.
It's a miracle, actually.
Actually, it might sound like it's in an old, cold, echoing classroom because of the mic placement. The mic's quite a ways away, so it's actually picking up a lot of ambient room noise right now. Very surprised STL identifies as conservative. I think many things he stands for are more left-leaning thinking. I don't fit into an easy pigeonholed box, Zanman, actually. It's very true. I was actually registered Republican. I did away with that. Do you remember the issue why I went independent? I thought I told you.
Probably because parties should just be abolished because there's so many cross opinions.
I do agree with that. It might have had something to do with net neutrality, or I thought it was something different. I can't remember. Fix the display on green screen. Yeah, there's the lighting sometimes messes with it, and we had everything working perfectly, but there was still light out and it's dark out now. So I do need to go back through and fix some of the green screen stuff. Yeah, and we're actually going to expand the green screen out, add more lighting, make it more consistent throughout. Not talk about SJW left. That is about as fake as the current Democrats in the U.S. Okay. Dumbing down has been the progressive model using public education for decades. Longer days, more dumbing down. That's the problem. You know, we're just adding more time. We'll save that talking point for later. Okay. During tech class, to sneak my phone and code in Python. Nice. Tech has been making our grades worse. Get ADHD when he's doing an assignment on the computer. He gets carried away on the internet and looks for memes. Yep.
That's exactly what happens.
Yeah. Tech teaches us how to use MS Word, but the teacher doesn't know how to use text boxes. Yeah, tech teaches you how to use Google Docs, but doesn't teach you how to push save.
No.
Or have a copy of your file that's not owned by Google. Blame this on Taylorism. Never heard of Taylorism. You think of PE and the fitnessgram. Okay, what's fitnessgram? Do you know what fitnessgram is?
No. What do you think of?
Physical education and fitnessgram. I don't know what fitnessgram is.
But PE, I think it's a cool class. I like PE.
Yeah.
I like exercising too, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to keep. I think if I'm remembering, Carbon Programmer, isn't fitnessgram like the stupid school endorsed fitness standards? That has the same problems as standards everywhere else. Different people have different body makeups, and so we have issues with that. Issues sysadmins, they think they've blocked the gaming websites, but they don't realize I can just hit HTTPS to the beginning of the URL and you can access them. Yeah. Yep. I was in college. Our learning center hosts a supplemental chem study group that only 4 to 6 nerds ever went to. It was way better than the actual classroom and could freely discuss things. Yeah. They will raise school taxes if they have longer days. Yeah, and then the teacher salaries will still pay the same, and they'll just be increasing the salary of the administrators. That was an annoying one if you saw that, where the one administrator, I forget what school that was, Alabama maybe, the school administrator, the school superintendent got a $36,000 a year raise, and the teachers have been on a pay freeze for the last 5 years. That's a green screen, right? No, we're in a classroom, man. And there's aliens here.
Let's not break the illusion.
Yeah. Gram is the curriculum. Okay, you have to do the fitness gram pays for push-up, pull-up, and flexibility tests. Oh, I don't know. Do you have fitness? You don't have fitness grams, do you?
No.
The school in Wyoming actually used to put bio trackers on all the kids. That was creepy.
Wait, really?
Yeah, that was creepy.
That sounds like something out of like a hardcore sci-fi film right there.
Don't work. Don't forget, man. Big Brother's watching.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and come back onto a couple of these articles. We already talked about the early 9 to 5 school days or better days, better for education. Actually, I'm going to go back to the one that I really liked. No, I couldn't find the one article. It's on the other computer. I was doing research across different things. Let's go through these 10 studies, and we'll talk about the final talking points we had talked about earlier today. Co-host. Oh, my green screen does not look as good right now. Can you? I think you're out of view of the camera. Can you move the cover off the light over there?
Right there.
Yeah, just lift the cover up. I want to see if that fixes the green screen on my sample screen. You're fine. You're good. You're fine.
Right here?
Just lift from the bottom. Lift it up from the bottom. I just want to see how that looks. Just lift all the way. Lift it all the way up. It's going to reset the coloring. Does that make it better or worse? No, that makes it worse. Drop it. Yeah, the green screening is not working quite as well on the system here, but that's all right. We'll go ahead and stick with it. All right, so this article here is 10 different stories. This is from 2012, but this one looks at 10 different stories done on longer school days. So in one study, it showed that longer school days resulted in a big jump in test scores. Big jump in test scores. And so, of course, this study, 2006-2007, increasing the school day by 25% in 18 schools around the state, caused test scores to rise by 4.7 to 10.8. You're kind of in it there. Okay.
I understand a little bit.
10.8 there. So other pilot programs conducted in regional schools, including New Hampshire, were found to improve not only test scores but grades as well. So that's one study. Another researchers found no link between longer days and improved scores. Okay. Some scholars have argued that it isn't longer school days that improve scores, but having quality interactions. What do you think of that? Quality interactions with teachers.
I agree.
So, you in your school, you get along with most of your teachers, right?
I get along with all my teachers.
All right. And do you think that helps your education?
I mean, not really, but like, I just feel like the teacher, just in pop culture in general, has kind of been assigned to this big bad guy role.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the intimidating guy. So when you know your teacher a bit better, that might actually, I don't know, that might worsen it because you're more lax with them, which means you could maybe not turn in homework on time. Because when the intimidating figure's there, you're like, if I don't do something right, I'm gonna get whooped or whatever.
Yeah.
But when your teacher's more sociable, I feel like teens just think that they can get away with much more because they can explain it away.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Extended school days may be the most beneficial to students at risk. It's exciting. So again, that's that. I mean, who are the students at risk? Low income and minority. Those are your at-risk students, generally. Studies find that some students are only on task for about a third of the hours spent in school. Okay, what do you think about that point? Studies find some students are only on task for about a third of the hours spent in school.
I agree. I think as the school day goes on, you know, students lose focus.
You sound like Mr. Peeps, by the way. Mr. Peepers. Who's Mr. Peepers?
I don't know.
We don't know who Mr. Peepers is, Kathy. Can you clarify?
But yeah, like even the teachers, I feel like lose focus.
Okay.
Like the teachers, like as the day goes on, it's like reteaching something over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I did VBS for a year and I taught, and I just found that I got way less enthusiastic as the day went on because I'm just teaching the same thing over and over.
Over and over and over.
Which adds to the monotony.
Yep.
So, I agree with that. I think also the teachers' quality of teaching gets worse as well as the students' focus. So.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess it kind of correlates.
Okay, extended school days are the most effective when at a time is carefully structured and planned. Now that's tinfoil hat material right there. What do you think of that?
I think so. I think wasted times. I think wasted time gives way to just distraction.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I think, like, I like block scheduling a lot because it's a lot better planned out. Like when I was in middle school and that 6-day schedule for some reason.
Cannot figure out why a town with so many doctor's degrees can't figure out that the school day has 5 days in it. Why are they on a 6-day rotation?
That's also another tinfoil hat, but we'll get to that later. But we had like 40-minute classes, and that was no good. And we had, because it wasn't really planned all that well, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had less time to soak in the information. The teachers had less time to explain stuff more carefully. But when you carefully construct time, it's a lot better. Even in block scheduling, I think is so much better system because the teachers have more time and it's more carefully constructed time that they can use to teach their students.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to come back to that one. For some students, any supervised time in school may be beneficial. For many students, a lot of supervised time might be necessary. I don't know.
Yeah.
Extended school days, less successful when school starts earlier. Okay, I could have said duh to that. Political Monkey, thank you. He says, I think grades should be tied to ability, not age. I agree. What do you think about that?
I agree.
Yeah, so, like, and so, you know, you excel at math. One of the biggest problems with our current system is even if you excel at math, you don't have the way to shoot through the rest of your math and focus on that better. You're stuck with a teacher who probably knows less math than you do if you are a savant at math, you know. So I agree, Political Monkey. Absolutely. Grades should be tied to ability, not to age. And I'm guessing you're talking age, first grade, second grade, third grade, not grades A, B, C, D, E, is what my thinking is. So this one here, let's look at this again. Extended school days are less successful when school starts earlier. Well, it already starts at 8 a.m. What are you expecting? Literally.
That's like the time the news reporter said, "Oh, we have a discovery. Apparently, looking at your phone before you go to bed, it doesn't bode well for your sleep schedule."
Wow, really? Is that why I don't sleep well? I don't know. I can't figure it out. So we're gonna extend school days by 25%. Let's just tackle on the way. Let's get the kids here at 5 a.m. I mean, but again, I think it ties right on. I think it ties right on into the tinfoil hat time that they want to train the kids to be in school the exact hours mom and dad is at work. Get them used to it early. Get them used to it early. Many countries with shorter school years and school days also boast higher test scores and grades. Well, there's the monkey wrench.
Well, it goes along with my theory.
What's your theory?
Of as the school day drags on, students get less involved and less engaged.
Mm-hmm.
With shorter school days, and more concise planning, you can teach a lot more than if you have, say, an 80-minute class that's just droning and droning on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so let's go back up to this one because I think this was the final point we want to talk about. Shorter summers may benefit students more than longer school days. Now, we talked about the ideal thing that we came up with is probably a hybrid of this and something else. So we talked about year-round school is probably better, but we would do a schedule like, 3 months on, 1 month off.
Right.
Which gives you the same amount of days in school, but you don't have this massive long summer consistently. Because if you had 3 months on, 1 month off, you have the same amount of time off, but you have less time in between, so there's better attention, better material retention. And you'll have time off in the summer, but you also have time off for the winter. So there's more time for families to do more dynamic vacationing and together time in that type of situation. And I think that that's ultimately the best option of all, because you have the burst of school and then you have a big break, the burst of school and the big break. I think that that's actually the best way to go, honestly. It'd be good for teachers, it'd be good for the educators, and it'd be good if college did the same type of thing. You'd have to figure it out. Of course, colleges are mostly on a semester system. You'd have to be running college as a trimester system in that system. But that's your thoughts too, right? What do you think about that?
Well, I'm taking Algebra 2 this year, and we just got done with Algebra 1 review, and we're finally going into Algebra 2. Keep in mind, this is halfway through the year. I think the 3-month period makes a lot of people forget. So I think this system would be perfect.
I think a 3-day weekend makes some people forget, but
Yeah,
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. It's too much. There's the summer vacation is too much time, particularly in our completely distracted culture. And so this was the thing that we liked the most. And of course, in this study here, students in year-round school tends to do better according to some research. So the original article was published in 2010, and they did an update in 2017. That is the longest period between updates I've ever seen for a news article. But anyway, those are my final thoughts on that stuff there. So what do you guys think? So that's our thought about education. I mean, I think longer school days is bad. That's already way too long. It gets in the way of the interest. The students that legitimately have a goal for their future, the longer school day, like the school day's already a little too long for some of them for what they want to do. And the problem is now, I mean, that's probably a minority of people. The majority of people, maybe they could take a little more. I don't know. There's no simple solution, I think, is the ultimate thing. So with that being said, we have to keep that general focus. Let's see. Pizza Loving Nerd starts at 8:45. Your school's gonna start at 8:45, right?
Yeah, that's my plan next year.
Yeah, boy, they're ramping it up, and then it leaves much later. Oh boy.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, that's the thing that hurts. See, I've done a ton of closing shifts in restaurants, and I've done opening shifts in restaurants. Dude, give me the opening any day. Because I used to open a bakery. I opened up at 5 in the morning, so I actually had to wake up at like 3:34 in the morning because I lived an hour from the thing. So I get up way early in the morning, but man, 2 o'clock I'm done. I'm like, this is nice.
Well, it's even like...
Oh, I got a kitty come back. The handler's coming back.
Well, it's even like for like churches and such, you feel so much more refreshed when you get out so much earlier.
Yeah, and that's why we switched to an early morning church, because we go 9:30 now. We go to church at 9:30. We're done at like 10:45, and
You can see the tail.
Yep. So that's kind of the thing is, it's so much better to have that. Let's see. Technically, if you look at your phone in the morning, it's before bed. Okay. Touche, pizza. Monkey Betters and PayPal's. No, I'm not worried about it, Kathy. Either way's fine. Let's see. We have to break up the family so individuals more reliant on the government. If we make school days longer, we keep kids under the influence of the government longer without parental influence. Yeah, that's where my tinfoil hat's coming in right here. That's exactly what I think the problem is. This is to influence your children more, and where our school's going, not necessarily better directions. I have this sneaky suspicion, but I do believe that parents are better at raising their children than governments are. I don't know, what do you think? Who's better at raising you, the government or your parents?
I think it depends.
Okay, touche.
No, like...
I have seen 16 and Pregnant. You are right.
I think it depends on your family background, if I'm being quite honest.
All right.
I mean, the government doesn't do much of a bang-up job raising us, but
you've seen 16 and Pregnant too, right?
I haven't, but I know about it. And sometimes people need to be disconnected from their parents if they want to have a healthier life.
Yeah. I think that's a rarity, but yeah, touche. So J Big says school was a way to get kids out of the workforce, keep kids out of the workforce. Yes, they do. They do keep kids out of the workforce. They did it to get kids out of the workforce, but it's only to train them to go back into the workforce as obedient monkeys. Push the buttons, push the buttons. They would send it by PayPal. It ties me. Oh yeah, that's a legitimate reason not to use PayPal. That's why I have a variety of things. If I was concerned about YouTube's cut of Super Chat, I would turn it off, honestly. I appreciate Super Chats. Let's see. School starts at 8:30 in the morning, but I have to take the bus from 7:30, so it's really 7:30. Yeah, like, I have friends out here that I think their school is 20, 25 miles away. Their kids get on they have like 45 to an hour minute rides. It is insanity.
That's too much.
Hello, Anna Rita. Some people who don't vaccinate kids because of pseudoscience, and that's a problem. I mean, we can do a whole tinfoil time on vaccines. The argument is partially false and partially true, Political Monkey. There are a lot of vaccines I would not allow near my children, but the reality is there are definitely a lot of vaccines I want to give to my children. Like, I think one of the ones that bothers me the most these days is the HPV one. That's the ones like most high school students now leave with HPV, you know? And of course they've been doing the drug companies. Of course, the United States and New Zealand are the only countries in the world allowed to direct advertise to consumers pharmaceuticals. And the pharmaceutical companies are doing these heart-wrenching age progression backwards, you know, kids dying, and they do one boy and one girl just to pull it all the hardest. It's like the person's dying of cancer, oh, I'm dying of cancer, and then they progress them backwards, throw pictures, and then they have the little 12-year-old boy. Mom, Dad, why didn't you get me the HPV vaccine? Unprotected sex killed me. Well, keep wieners out of vaginas. I mean, in reality, we don't need a vaccine for a sexually transmitted disease. We need to better know where our kids are and better teach them about the issues. Now, of course, I'm not all about education. Education is the only way out of it. There's issues that we need to consider. But realize that there are thousands of vaccines that are virtually untested that we are injecting into kids.
Yeah, I think we are the guinea pigs of these vaccines.
Absolutely. And there are definitely some long-term vaccines like polio, measles, mumps. Yeah, I'm vaccinating my kid with these long-term things. But little things like, look at the flu shot right now. We were talking about flu shot a couple weeks ago. You know, a flu shot this year that's killing a lot of people is only 20-30% effective right now. It's a crapshoot. It is literally, they roll dice and gamble as to which one is going to be the flu vaccine. That's how the flu vaccine is determined.
It's a complete shot in the dark.
Yeah, and it's crazy. So maybe I will do an entire tinfoil hat time delineating that, because there is absolute truth in that field and there is absolute fallacy in that field. It is both, you know, you have to consider both points, and it's not easy to figure out. I call conspiracy theorists tinfoil hat theorists. Yeah. But I'm actually not a conspiracy theorist. It's just some of this stuff is just too close to the reality. Prefer self-education with the exception of medical and pilot operating machines and vehicles, because those require some type of schooling. I agree. If your potential career is going to damage someone else, go to school, maybe.
I have a vocabulary class, and we were talking about like ophthalmologists, which are like the people that work on your eye, like that do surgery. I would not trust a self-taught person to do that.
See Minority Report?
No.
We gotta watch that.
but like, I would not trust somebody who is self-taught to operate on my eye. You know, there has to be some level of schooling for me to trust them.
Unless he's had 30 years of experience and really good results, I'd trust that. But yeah, I don't want to trust the guy. It's kind of like a funny story. You know, I was first learning to drive, of course, and and I just get my license. Now, of course, in our day, like you guys, co-host just got his license not long ago, and nowadays you got to have the logbook and you sign off. I drove this many day hours, this many hours. Well, we didn't have any of that. Man, you get your permit the next day, you can get your license. How long did you drive? None. Yeah, whatever. Let's go, man. You pass the test. You pass the test, dude. And so, I didn't have a lot of, I didn't have any city driving at times. I get my license, so I'm driving there. My brother's car's not working, so he's like, you give me a ride to work? I'm sure. So we pull up, and we're in this 2-lane turning into 2-lane. So we're sitting there in the car, the light's red, my brother's sitting there, and I go, ah. So when I make this turn, I got to stay in this lane when I turn, so I'll be in this lane to this lane. He's like, yeah. I said, cool, I read about this in a book. He's like, oh, God. So, but I trust a guy who self-taught himself that as long as he had several years of experience and good results.
Right.
So Political Monkeys talk about measles, mumps, rubella, and smallpox. Absolutely. Those are vaccines. I'd be like, yep. When's the appointment? I'm bringing the kid in for those. And yeah, people who are not vaccinating against those types of things, absolutely. I mean, those need to be vaccinated against, provided the formula is staying the same, because we have a lot of evidence that formula seems to be fine. But I mean, realizing that when we're getting into the vaccine debate, people aren't always as clear about defining things, and they're not talking about measles and mumps and things. They're talking about this mass proliferation of other vaccines for questionable diseases. It's like, I'd rather get the disease in some of these cases, to be perfectly honest.
Well, and also, the flu vaccination holds a massive problem because bacteria can adapt to certain vaccinations.
Well, the flu vaccine would be a virus, not a bacteria.
Oh, that's right. They inject a little bit into your bloodstream to
correct. Yeah, and it's
just such a sketchy idea. It's a sketchy idea by default.
Well, the concept is it's what's called an attenuated vaccine, and the reason it works is because the protein that's expressed on the surface of a vaccine, they basically take the various proteins, because it's the protein that causes the immune response. This is also why we're looking at this mass influx of food allergies and guessing that it's probably the emulsifiers that's doing it, because it's allowing undigested protein to pass from the digestive tract directly into the bloodstream. Same concept, same thing that's causing that. And the problem with the flu vaccine, though, is that they guess as to which strains, and they can't do them all. So they have to guess as to which strains to do. I mean, honestly. I have no idea how I got autism, but it's the unusual story. After I had a vaccine, I started to act weird. A lot of stories like that. I think I want to stop doing the vaccine talk at this point in time. We'll do that another tinfoil hat time. Maybe we'll do a doctor's office background. What do you think? Build a doctor's office? Yeah. We'll have an alien taking blood. All right. All right. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. So thanks for watching, everybody. Again, if you'd like to help support what we're doing, you can check out switchtolinks.com/support. I do have Patreon, patreon.com/TomM. There's some Amazon links down in the description below. So thanks for coming along, and we'll catch you guys later.